Hello guys, and welcome to another day with Zimaleta. In today's video, I want to talk about Expedite, specifically how to get started in Expedite to anybody that is brand new and they're trying to start an Expedite business. So let's get started. So I want to keep this video as simple as possible. For somebody that's brand new, I want to make sure that you understand what is this business about, you know, why does it exist, and how to make money in it. No, we all want to make money and that kind of thing. So first of all, what is Expedite? So Expedite is basically, it's a word that's been used for a while. It's basically a delivery business in your van. It's kind of like express delivery, or I guess another word would be overnight delivery. So this is pretty much like what we do. We pick up a load and we overnight it. We just have to pretty much get it to the place where it's going. So it's also known as doing hot shots. So a while ago, these loads actually paid really well. Like, we got paid as much as probably semi-truck drivers, like back in the day, like before 2007. And then slowly but surely, as more people entered the business, people started getting paid less and less. It's like the rule of supply and demand. So then prices started dropping, you know, from $4 per mile to all the way down to, like, you know, $1.80 and then $1.40, and then before you know it's $1, and then before you know it's 80 cents plus fuel surcharge, and then before you know it, it's 80 cents no fuel surcharge, and down as it goes. And some people get paid as little as 50 cents a mile. But before we even begin, let me tell you this. You'll be doing this with your Sprinter van, okay? Like a Sprinter van, Ford Transit, or like you're gonna be doing it like with a ProMaster, you know, something like that. Like, these vans are considered all Sprinters, basically. This is how it's called a Sprinter load. So, because Mercedes Sprinter vans, they've been around for a while, so they got used to the dimensions. All of these other vans, companies, they entered the business a little bit later on with selling these Sprinter size vans. They just call them differently. But all of these, you know, loads are going to be called Sprinter loads if you're going to be getting loaded. So anyways, the Sprinter loads, they pay the most. Like, they also call it a van load in some cases, like for like those Ford Econolines, those Chevy Expresses. They pay them even less, okay? They just call it, oh yeah, that's just a cargo van load, you know, that's what they call it. So Sprinter van load would get more, and that's because you got the height, and you got, you know, the width to work with, and you got the length. It's a very good idea to buy the van with the most amount of cargo space as possible. It is a better idea to build a sleeper inside, even though it's going to raise your comfort level up. It's much better to maybe have like a foldable type of bed that you could like tuck away, or just a straight down mattress that you throw on the floor and just sleep. Because most of these days you're gonna be like so tired from overnighting something that you're just gonna drop down on the mattress and you're gonna sleep, and you're gonna wake up sweating, and you're gonna need a shower, but you're probably gonna be getting a phone call. They want you to do something else, and now you just missed the shower. This is how this business works. Being straight down to the point. It is not as glorious as it seems, but this is the nature of the business. I've been in this business for nearly 14 years now, and I've started out without knowing anything about the business, and I know a heck of a lot now. And I could definitely tell you, and just take some of these misconceptions out of the way right away. But that being said, it's a very good business for somebody that is not married, does not have any kids, because you will be away for weeks at a time. This is a good business for somebody that loves to travel, that loves van life in it, you know, perfect for that. But if you're van life in it the real way, you gotta have all kinds of stuff built up in the back, and you're not gonna be able to really do this business anyways, because there's no room for anything. You're gonna need a minimum of room like for 2 pallets, minimum of like 10 feet basically, and maximum of like 14-15 feet if you could get it. 14 feet usually you get with a Sprinter, like with a 170 wheelbase or 158 wheelbase, so it's like 14 feet. If you put a wall up behind your seats, then you're your space is going to be that much more limited. But all the way to the seats, I believe it's like 168 inches. If it's a 158 wheelbase, it's 14 feet, like to the wall partition with these newer vans, like 170 wheelbases. But
2 miles,
that being said,
Boulevard,
it's a very good business. You can make a lot of money. And that being said, again, there's a lot of expenses involved. You know, you don't get this money free. So what are some of the expenses? Your biggest expense is going to be fuel. But nowadays, I'm wondering, is that even true anymore? Because it seems like the most biggest expense now is insurance. Insurance wasn't the biggest expense. So let me take it back a notch and tell you. Back in 2007, when I started, I don't know what the fuel prices was, but I know what they were in 2009. So I'm gonna go back into 2009 and tell you the fuel prices were like $4 and $5 a gallon. You know, so I was paying $100 for fuel for every 500 miles. So that's like a good way to kind of like measure things. So if you're gonna drive 1,000 miles, well, that's gonna cost you $200. Well, nowadays I'm seeing diesel prices like $1.99. So that just got slashed in half, which is only like $1,000. Why is that important? Well, back in 2009, the insurance was like $277 a month. That's all for like a million liability, $100,000 cargo. Man, sorry, I got my GPS set up and I have a lot of things going on here. So, anyways, the insurance was $277 back then. Fuel price was $2,000. Well, now the fuel prices are $1,000 per month. That's how much it's going to cost you if you're going to do like an average of 500 miles a week, which is what everybody is really looking for, is to do at least 500 miles a week so they could, what am I saying here? 500 miles a day, excuse me guys, 500 miles a day. So if you do 500 miles a day at $100 per 500 miles, then you're spending $500 per week on fuel. But in today's times, if you're using a Sprinter van, then you're going to be spending about $250. Now, that is if your vehicle is 20 miles per gallon. Like if it's better than that or worse than that, well, you're going to be spending a little bit more. I'm only speaking from experience where it's 20 miles per gallon. That's pretty much what the fuel is. But with T1Ns, the older Sprinters that really not a lot of people will really want now, it's because they're old, you know. They were doing like 24, 25 miles per gallon. Now, if you get your own business, you can still use them. Use the right lane
to keep right to merge onto I-485 north towards Statesville.
But anyways, that being said, insurance companies are now charging between $900 and $1,500 per month. You see like that big difference. So now you're going to be paying about $1,000 in fuel every month, but you're going to be paying insurance $1,500. So that's like really not fair. And then you're going to have a van payment if you're going to buy a brand new van, anywhere from $800 to like $1,000, in some cases more. At $800 payment, you could pretty much base that on the vehicle. That's $40,000 in a parking lot. And then they're going to add you some fees and stuff, and they're going to put some really expensive interest rate for you, because they're going to know that, well, if you tell them you're going to be using it for Expedite, well, then they're going to put like a very high interest rate, because they know in about a year you're going to put 120, 150,000 miles on that vehicle. And let's say you stop paying, well, they really can't sell that vehicle for 40,000 anymore. So they're trying to make all this money in interest rate. So my advice is, if you're going to be buying a brand new vehicle, like, don't tell them you're going to be doing Expedite. Like, I don't know, tell them like, if you're going to be doing anything, you're going to be doing locally or something, because seriously, they will compensate for that. And how do I know that? Well, I basically overpaid. And my salesperson, the lady, we became friends later on, and she said she could have made me a heck of a lot better deal if I was like, friends with her then. But I wasn't. So they gave me like a really expensive interest rate, even though I had really good credit history of 14%, because I was using it for Expedite. But, I didn't know any better. So I came in there, told them exactly what I'm going to be using it for, that kind of thing. So, can you make any money in Expedite right now? Well, right now, what's going on is, it's a fourth quarter pretty much that got started, and that means the auto manufacturers, they are trying to get all the parts out to all of these different plants, and they're pretty much just cramming to get the new models done for 2021 models, so they could have them out the very first thing next year. And so right now there's a lot more loads, and it's already been like that for a few months, so at least since July. They start kind of like speeding up, and before you know it, they really speed up. And so right now there's definitely loads, but one thing you have to take into consideration, that in this type of business in Expedite, okay, let's say you started like right now and you're seeing like all kinds of loads. I will tell you this is not how it's always going to be, man. In this business, it's kind of like a hit and a miss, like 1 week you're busy, the next week you're not. 1 month you're busy, the next month you're not. Half a year you're busy, then the next half a year you're not. It just goes with the trends of the manufacturing and the productions and stuff that they're doing, and the sales that they're doing and stuff. So the more cars, I guess, they sell and they need to produce more, the more money you're going to be making, basically, like Expedite. Because for the most part, the automotive sector is the biggest sector for us that pays basically all of our bills, for everything, because that's where the most work comes from. Sure, there's work from other places as well. It is not consistent, because you're gonna pick it up, let's say like in North Carolina, let's say you drop it off somewhere in Missouri. Well, in Missouri, there's some automotive loads back there, and some train loads, a bunch of these other loads. So you're gonna be going to some other place, and then you gotta find like another place that is hot in that area. Like the way I used to do it is, I had a pretty much a consistency. I would deliver for Ford mainly and GM. So I would go pretty much to Michigan, from Michigan to Kentucky, Kentucky to Tennessee, or Kentucky back to Michigan, Kentucky to Missouri, Kentucky to Texas. Same thing, Texas to Michigan, Michigan to Texas, and South Carolina to Texas, and then again like Texas to like Michigan, or Michigan to Nogales, Arizona, or El Paso. I stayed around all those places, and I know it sounds like I'm talking about like a lot of these different places. Also, I would go to Indiana, and I would go to Illinois, those type of places, and Wisconsin. That's where pretty much I was going. So I kind of like knew where all these places was. I knew like where to go and stuff like that. And the money was pretty decent, because I was able to stay busy, and that's the most important thing, is consistency. If you could find consistency and constantly deliver those companies, that's great. And this is the reason I worked for the company that I worked for, even though I actually dropped down in pay from the previous company that I was working for, because I was working for Allstate Express, and they were paying me 80 cents per mile plus fuel surcharge, which was about 20 cents a mile. So, not bad. And plus they paid me for all my tolls. So that was really great, and I was doing pretty good with them. But then I found out about this other company. They were very consistent. Like, they were constantly having loads all the time, but they only paid 80 cents. They didn't pay for no tolls, and they were operating like this for a long time. Very hard to get employed with a company. To this day, they like to stay private. They don't like to be mentioned. But I am actually a pretty private person myself, even though I make a lot of videos. There's certain things I keep to myself, and that company is one of them. My insurance companies, or some of my other business dealings, like right now I'm doing some business, I keep it private. But there's a lot of great information that I give out. I just moved on from that, so I'm giving away information that it's really, I'm not gonna say it's no longer useful to me. I'm just already in a different category. Like, in life, you have to upgrade yourself. Like, as you're going along, like, you're gonna be moving on and moving on and moving on. And for me, that has happened. And right now, I'm doing something that I really enjoy. This is a dream job for me. Like what I'm doing, it's and it doesn't feel like a job, because I love it. It doesn't feel like work. So the most important thing is to do the work that does not feel like work, because you enjoy it. And that is the best business to be in, because you want to